recording. And Jared and I were speaking before we actually got started today, because I've just kind of been having some feelings around the deadline. Um, I feel like the deadline would be better served to be in July on the anniversary of the last album, so that we actually have time to go on the journey together and actually do the inner child work. So we were talking beforehand, and I just feel like with everything that we've got going on in life, and how it's been in terms of just communication and building the team, I feel like it would be more beneficial to give ourselves longer to not only build the team but also do the inner work, so that we can go on that journey as individuals and then come together and have something new to offer that also gives us more time to integrate what we've learned, so that then as we actually bring the music out, that we've actually been able to bring in some of that. So that's kind of where I've been feeling, and Jared and I were speaking literally in the last hour. It's just like, Jared, you know how it goes. So I that's kind of where we're at, and you're the first to know, other than we had the conversation and now we're bringing the conversation to you. So we kind of wanted to just I like to get things out of the way, but I want to hear what Jared has to say too.
Yes. So I like what you said before when we were talking about how keeping the date that we've put out there and we published out there, because we're doing something with that date. We're just extending also all the way out to July, to make things more to give us an opportunity to grow together. We're all coming together to promote each other. The idea is that we're lifting each other, and by lifting each other in the specific vein of healing the wounded child, we're looking to lift the world with what we're doing. And if we're not taking steps to make our presentation of that, to make our presentation that we're sharing together something that we're united in, then it becomes disjointed. And if it's disjointed, then it's just kind of like, well, we've got all these journeys together and we're kind of lifting them up, but they're not really connected, and there's no connection, there's no cohesion in this group that's lifting. And so some people are going to lift over here, and some people are going to lift over here, and some people are going to drop the ball entirely. It's like, we saw that with the last project we did. There's some that lifted together, and some people that are just like, I'll let you promote me. Mm-hmm. But they didn't really want to be a part of the whole project. And it's like, no, this is about coming together. This is about lifting each other. This is about making a difference in the world with what we're doing as artists and what we're doing as musicians, to come together with our talents and bless the world. And to be able to do that together really is, like what we're saying, a journey that we go on together, some way to lift each other. So
the dog chimes
deadline starts in February, but then we're going to extend that all the way out to July, because it's just a project that we're going to be using to promote each other and build each other with.
Yeah.
And of course.
So with February, with the album 22, there were actually 2 playlists, because we did the 22 songs, and we're not stuck on having 22 songs per se in this one. But what we were having the conversation about is to make it so that anyone that submits their song in by February 22nd's deadline, then you have priority for the first playlist. And then that also gives us an opportunity for, if an artist is wanting to submit new music that is made and you're still working on or still wanting some feedback on, we've got some phenomenal artists, producers in the room here. I know that at least Eric, Jay Ghani, and Jared are all in the producing field. So the opportunity to have some professional eyes to be able to look at the songs that are submitted that may want to be remastered or have some, extra professionalism added to them, so that instead of being the artist that has to do all of it on your own and then give the final approval, what if we actually created a community where where we supported one another and actually had that built into the experience too, where you could work with a producer to really have your music done at a higher level too.
That is a great idea.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's a very recent update. And so the other piece that I was saying to Jared is, anything done in the past is dead, really. Like it's still present in the present. It's also context for the present because it's what brought us here. But anything that's finished is no longer living. It's just of what lived. And so I was saying to Jared, and we were having the conversation about really creating album 22.2 as an icon on the homepage of album 22, because that's where we're going to be hosting this next project too. And so what we're going to do is get album 22.2 and the details for it posted there, which I feel like the fact that we are like 2 months into this project already, and we haven't got that done yet, I think that there's purpose for that too. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And so the fact that that hasn't been done gave us the opportunity to feel into things, to have this conversation and say, just because we set the deadline for February to make it the 2022 experience doesn't mean that that needs to be what limits us. Because when we are sticking to a deadline that we're setting to help heal humanity, who benefits if we irresponsibly set a date that doesn't actually serve everyone that can get involved, if we give enough time to create a process that actually supports the artists that are involved to be able to go on a journey, so we can track together and we can grow together and we have support together. So that's kind of where we've come to before this. So that's in process. Lisego, it's great to have you on today. Thank you for joining in. I can't hear you yet. I'm not sure whether I can't see you trying to speak just yet, but when you have something you want to contribute, by all means, definitely speak up. And that's kind of where we've got to for today. And then what we also want to make sure is that we're making these meetings more intentional and purposeful. And so we actually give the artists that are showing up an opportunity to share our stories, to actually make these valuable. So it's not just me and Jared doing the majority of the speaking, but we actually give the artists who are showing up an opportunity to share your story and the journey that you've been on, so that when you come, then you have an opportunity to put forward what's brought you to this moment and where you're going from here. So the intention with having original album 22 artists like Eric, for instance, come on is really to just to get updates and see where people are at. I know Eric just had a new album of his own released, and so he's been making more music and getting himself out there in a bigger way. So really making these monthly meetings an opportunity for that to happen. And then also, because contribution to the community is part of the requirements for being part of this next project, having an opportunity to really get clear on what value you can offer the community in terms of what secret, what skill set, what you can contribute to help somebody that may be fresh onto the path or established, but could benefit from the hard-won wisdom that you gained. So Eric, if you want to actually touch on what you shared, not this Friday, but the one before, I think that would be really beneficial if you want to share your experience of contributing some of your value.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Laura. Hey, everyone. Happy Monday.
Hello.
And yeah, it was great, Laura. I think, just the opportunity to really I guess, give value back. That was the thing for me that day. I didn't know if anyone is going to even be able to benefit from it, right? However, it was definitely, I felt like it was a gap that I wanted to know how to do even when we did the first album 22 project together, right? And I was like, wow, how come I'm not able to make music in 432, so easily. And so that was really my thought with that workshop, was just to share the process I found, and really just give other musicians and producers the opportunity to explore that themselves, right? They can look at that process, look at that video, and if it works for them, great. And and if it doesn't, then maybe there is some other ways and some other options out there, right, to make music in that 432 frequency. And then the last thing too, I would say, Laura, it was great to have the participation that day. It was great to get like that feedback from the participants, and just really feeling their energy and their passion behind like, yes, we need to change the way we make music, and so yeah, that was great to just be a part of that, really. And I'm just grateful to be able to offer something back to others.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. And Jared, I know that you weren't able to be on the meeting with us live, but you watched it back. If you want to share any feedback.
I thought it was a great presentation of just some of the mechanics of doing that, but also it just takes a small step of changing something small, and it makes such a huge difference as far as how it affects the listeners. If they hear a song that's in 432 as opposed to 440, which is standard concert tuning, just the organizational power of music is able to carry so much more weight into the process of healing for the individual. So that's awesome. Thanks, Eric.
And one of the biggest pieces as well, has anyone else had an opportunity to watch that workshop? I'll make sure that the replay is available. Bridget, you did so. Would love to, if you have feedback, would love to hear what that is. And in that, as I mentioned later on, it's just like with the 432, it was so clear to me about the weaponry and how music has been weaponized, because by making us have to adjust every note and have to recalibrate, it's exhausting. And when we actually get it to a standard 9, all of the notes equate to a 9, then we're not having to adjust. And then that is also to say it's very relevant to today with the pivot points, because we don't want to have to readjust every note. But when we find a note that's out of tune, it's our responsibility as creators to bring that note back into tune. And if something is out of tune in the moment, that's when then we have to really just say, hey, I'm the cat got scared by the dog. I like it.
Animals everywhere today. Feeling the energy.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, like we just have to make sure that we're not scaring ourselves and overcommitting irresponsibly just because we said that was when we were going to do it, and then hold ourselves to that, when then we have to really ask ourselves, why did we say that date? And that's what the conversation that Jared and I had before this was. Why did we say February? Like, what is the benefit of having it then compared to in July instead? That means then we have an extra 5 months to build our team, to have the players on the field that we want to have on the field, the players that are community players in common unity, that have more time to step up, because not everyone's ready to step up right away. Right? Like, as artists and creators, we're generally speaking the ones that are more willing to step up. But then we also have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves and see that we all have that comparative nature too. And it's just like, oh, well, they look further along, or they've been doing it for longer, or they said this and then that made me feel like this about that. And it's just like, okay, let's just give ourselves some space. So on that note, Bridget, if you wanted to share what your experience of Eric's presentation was, would love to hear that.
Sure. Like, I don't have any necessarily like, particular feedback, but I just found it exciting to like get to know everyone in a sense before walking into this meeting as well. And basically, the 400, megahertz or whatever, right? Like I was so interesting, right? Like things that I never knew
Mhm.
that we should be kind of like focusing on, right? And things like that, right? So it's just very knowledge based and interesting. I do have MS and some cognition issues, so that's why I have a hard time like sometimes expressing what's on my mind, putting it out there. And I apologize for that, but yeah, it was super interesting and it was a really good awareness on how the meetings are going as well. So it made me feel more comfortable being here today.
Cool.
Yes.
And Bridget, I also, if while you've got the stage, if you don't mind taking a moment and just sharing a bit of your story and the lessons that you've learned that you shared with me, I think
Of
that
course.
the group would definitely benefit from just hearing from you.
That's beautiful. Yes, I would love to share my story. Basically, as a child, I grew up with a bipolar mother, and my father, molested me. And so I was in a tumultuous home growing up, right? So versus thinking that, okay, I want to heal these wounds, I chose, to go to drugs, alcohol, abusive relationships myself, right? It was just a tumultuous time in my life, and just realizing that, you know, as an adult, that I needed to heal those wounds within me, that by healing those wounds, I would be able to evolve within myself and to move forward in life, and create the music, that I wanted to put out, because I was writing angry music and, venting it all out. And I just wasn't at the place I needed to be, spiritually and within myself. And what I did was I forgave my abusers. I forgave them to the point where it wasn't a weight on me anymore. And I went to it's like a metaphysical healing called trauma incident reduction, TIR. I'm not sure if you guys heard of that, but it was like phenomenal, right? So it was like you hit it head on and heal it, right? And it's like gone, right? So I can talk about these things without triggers, right? Which is really, really important for us to go through and deal with. And now I have this profound sense of compassion for people that have trauma and that have the things in them that cause themselves to abuse others, right? They've probably went through abuse, or molestation, for instance, and they kind of carry it forward. So I believe that it's so important for us to not only heal ourselves, but for the generations past, right? It's just a qualification that we all need. We all need to face our things head on that we've dealt with. And, that's when I, got sober a couple years ago. I kind of like got rid of all that negativity around me, and life's been a lot better, right? I struggle with some health issues, but it's not a big deal anymore. I just kind of flow with life. And also the thing is, that's when I wrote my song "Don't Give Up," right? Just about all of it packed into one. And it's got 1.7K views, which I'm so happy about. Not just the views, but just that it impacted people. I have people write me saying, like, you have no idea how much this song has helped me. And that's what I'm aiming for, things like that. So I'm looking forward to writing more, healing songs, and just bringing awareness so that I can, show what I've been through my music even more.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so huge. And to be able to be in a group with others who have overcome some of their challenges as well is so significant. And if anyone else would like to share your story, I know Bridget, that was something you and Jared had spoke of before. So not wanting to put anyone on the spot, and certainly we can make that part of the next meeting. What I would appreciate is that everyone is here. If you would put your emails into the chat, then I know how to actually include you in correspondence when I send out messages. Currently, I've only been corresponding with the original album 22 artists. So it would be useful to be able to connect with everybody that's on here. And I know you've got Jared as well. And so it's really just kind of carrying the load together, and then making sure that, you know, no one of us is getting loaded with all of it. And a lot of it does come down to Jared, because obviously you're responsible for the music component of it, and I'm more on the mediating and managing the meetings side of things. But also the sacred sojourn of the soul is really the hero's journey from a soulful perspective. That is actually a video I launched yesterday that was actually the premise for the first album. And it's really going on the journey through transformation as individuals. And I would very much appreciate, if you haven't already seen that video, to go and check that out on my channel. I will post the link for you to be able to do that. And what I would like to do is go deeper into that process. So what I would like to do is actually go on the artist's journey. And that was kind of the intention and the premise for the first album. What the intention, I believe, for this one is to take it to an even deeper level of being able to work with the child within and call back the soul fragments from not now moments, where we have lost ourselves in a not now moment that we don't know how to call back on our own, and to be able to do that in community with other artists and creators who are willing to consciously co-create our reality, so that then the trauma isn't in the way that we're expressing. So then the pain is no longer what the one who is listening is feeling and experiencing as well. So I want to just make that offer to you, to be able to actually go through the sacred sojourn of the soul. And we can do that in these meetings. We can do that in separate meetings. We can create a workshop around that. But I'd very much appreciate the opportunity to be able to take you on that journey, because I do believe that that is what is going to help in transforming our perspective of those difficulties and the setbacks. And when we feel like we're less because we're comparing ourselves to someone or something outside of ourselves, to be able to call our power back present and to have the reminders of others who are willing to do the same is part of what I would like to be able to contribute. And I loved that I was saying it at 355, which I'm all for numbers. And that is a master number because it's two numbers together, which is a pattern. So noticing the patterns when multiples of anything show up, oftentimes it's the universe giving us the reminder that that's significant or that's standing out. So I just offer that insight too. And I wonder what anyone else in view has to say today.
Silence is golden.
It's the pregnant pause of coaching.
Yep, it's great. You know, honestly, Laura, I believe in keeping things short and sweet. And the reality is like you're saying, we need to come together in community, and coming together in community, not just to lift and build each other, but to lift and build humanity. And we do that best when we lift and build each other. Mm-hmm. And that's really why we reach out to the artists that were in the original album 22. That's why we want to continue to reach out to them, and also to reach out to new artists out there that are growing or becoming interested in growing their sphere of influence, because the idea is that we want to lift them up and promote the work that they're doing if they're interested in lifting and building humanity. Mm-hmm. And as we lift and build humanity together, like, we can change the world. And we all have a part to play in that. And one of the things that I've loved about listening to you and having you as my personal empowerment coach for, the last 2 years almost, is that you've been about finding your purpose in life. And you've really helped me to find my purpose in life. My purpose is to bring people together to lift and build the world and heal the brokenness that's all around us. Because when we heal the brokenness that's all around us, our world becomes a better place. Our world, the world we impact, the world we influence, the people that are able to hear our music, and the more people we can have hearing these songs of healing, the better off everyone will be. So as we journey together, as we continue to lift and build together, we're going to promote each other. And as we promote each other, this snowball is growing. And as the snowball is growing, it's going to fill the world.
Yeah.
And it's something that we do by choice. It's something that we do conscientiously together. I think taking those pauses and taking this time to go through the journeys of listening to the sacred sojourn of the soul, of listening to the high rise of emotional awareness, coming to these people gain perspective in their own life. Love it. Absolutely love it. Love this opportunity and love what we're building here together.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for coming and showing up today and being a part of this.
Yeah.
We're here and we got to hear Bridget's story this week, and I love that. I love that we could hear, she had these challenges. She had the deck stacked against her. And what came out of it? She has a wonderful song, Don't Give Up. Don't give up. If you YouTube Bridget, Don't Give Up, you're going to find her song, and it is powerful. It's a bit repetitive, but that's how you get the things across. That's how you get the message across.
That's right.
And
Yes.
it's over and over and over again. I love it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me speak today.
If you want to
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely share your YouTube link in the chat, Bridget, that would be useful so we can all just easily find it. We do live in a
Let me just
world of
grab it here.
convenience where if it's right there, such as the Sacred Sojourn of the Soul, I just posted the video link so you guys can go and check that out. And I very much appreciate that. And then Bridget's song as well. And if you can also make sure in the chat you share your details so that way I can include you in subsequent posts about the project details. That will just make it so that you get included in communication you'll otherwise miss out on. Jared is great about passing on the message, but if you just make it so that it's not all on Jared or it's not all on me, then ultimately you get the information that you need to be able to contribute. And then that also will give you an opportunity to let us know how you want to add value and what you want to offer the community so that we can set up another workshop. And now we have 5 more months to be able to actually build one another, to build off of what Eric already did with the 432 hertz conversion software. And I think that workshop is the first of more than one on that topic specifically because it is so fundamental. So would love to make sure that we can stay in touch. And if no one else has anything that you want to bring into the message, Lisego, I don't know whether it's just you're having issues with your speaker, maybe we haven't been able to hear you. It's not that we haven't wanted to, but definitely appreciate your showing up. And if you'd make sure that you get your email into the chat box there too. Jared obviously has your details, and Bridget would appreciate yours too. Eric, I've got you, and Jared too. So if there's nothing more to be said, does anyone have anything that you want to share in terms of something that really stood out for you in your journey as a musician that you want to offer as a little as a short insight that somebody else could really benefit from if you were thinking about actually stepping onto the path as a musician and maybe aren't quite sure, but somebody that's listening back, seeing artists that have made the conscious choice to actually empower this world with song. Would love to hear that insight before we wrap up today.
I have something to
Yeah,
add.
Laura.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
yes,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Bridget.
I
You
was
sure?
just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, oh, sorry. But yeah, so I was just going to say basically that what we think is what we can accomplish, right? Putting it out there is the greatest aspect that we can like when that way we can achieve it. Like even, you know, for instance, as an example, when I was 25, you know, I plugged in how to be famous, right? Like I was a little more naive back then, but I ended up like getting in some competition in Florida and then went out there. And then from there, I got to drop out demos. And then it got me to New York City, right? Like in Clive Davis's record label and stuff. So like, it was like, it just kind of was like boom, boom, boom. And it's not always, you know, about our timing, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It's not about our timing. It's about the universe timing, right? And it's about when it's meant to happen. So, you know, my journey, it's not about being famous anymore, but it's about helping people and helping people evolve within themselves as well, right? So I think that's really important to realize that you can achieve anything you want when you put your mind to it and you're full-fledged energy into it, right? The positive energy.
I love it, Bridget. Thank you so much.
Thank
Eric, you were going to say?
Yeah, great share, Bridget. I appreciate that, and you're right. And that's and to echo that. The other thing I was going to say too is, you know, to make it successful in music, the one thing I'm learning is authenticity. So meaning, if anyone's watching, you know, just stay true to who you are, right? As a person, as a creative, as an expression, because music is an expression. And so, I mean, I was grateful to be a part of, you know, the first album 22, and you know, the song that I made with you, Laura, was, you know, not, I guess I would say something I make all the time, yet it felt authentic, you know, and it was something that I was just called to make, you know, based off of the time I'd spent with you guys. So I guess I would say I love these meetings, Laura, because they do sort of like create an energy amongst the group, right? And so I was moved to make that composition, and then you and I obviously created what we created. So yeah, just be authentic as a musician, as a singer-songwriter. Speak your voice, and everything else will fall into place.
Love it.
Love it.
The A is actually, authenticity is the A for Peaceful Inner Warriors United, which is the initiative that I've been piecing together in what started as the book that rewrote me before the world gets to see the version this me will finish, because I had to go through everything that I did. But authenticity very much has always been the center point in the peaceful practice that is ultimately calling ourselves home to ourselves. So I love that, Eric, not because it's that, but it's part of it because of the significance of it. So I love that share. Jaygani or Lisego, did you have a share you wanted to offer before the end? And it's okay if not. But certainly if you do want to, Jaygani, just unmute yourself. Lisego, I think we're having some
Yeah,
logical issues.
I had to mute because of the dogs. So I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
And I have something short to share. Okay, I'm really proud of every member of this team because this is just something amazing that people wouldn't sacrifice to be part of. But it takes someone with an insight, someone who so listens to the world, the needs of the world, and all that. So I'm really proud of everyone because I got the opportunity to share the sites with a friend in Missouri, my co-writer for the upcoming album. I had to share the site with her, and she was like, "This is a perfect place to learn something, to share." Because um, her son is actually, sorry to say, mentally challenged. So she had to share with her son's doctor and all that, and it had a direct impact right away. which made me more proud to be a part of this group. So I'm really proud of everything, everyone is putting together to make the world a better place to live in. So I'm really proud of all the team members. Shout outs to you all.
Thank you. And thank you for seeing it and having that insight. And truly, what we are doing is so much bigger than what we have any understanding of. And when the dogs bark in the background, we can see it as noise, or we can see it as the universe chiming in. And so we can look at things as if nothing is a miracle, or as if everything is a miracle. And that shift in perspective makes a world of difference for how we experience the noise that we could get upset with because of how it's interfering with what we are doing. Or we could see how it only happens when this is being responded to. So it's a big shift. It might be a stretch for some to see. And then for others, maybe. And then just pay attention to how the signs, symbols, and omens of the universe show up for us in our life. Because how we do anything is how we do everything. And if we get upset at the distractions, we're likely to get upset at other distractions, compared to if we're like, oh, that distraction is happening now, why? And we ask ourselves why. And if we ask ourselves the why, such as when Jared and I had the conversation, like, why for the deadline in February compared to a later deadline that would actually give us more time to be more responsible co-parents to the project that could really benefit the world in the way that we can see it to be able to do. It's like, yeah, responding to what we feel and what's showing up in our environment has a world of impact. Jared?
Yep. How we show up, super important. Just figured out how to change the name on the thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been an amazing honor and a blessing, Laura, to be in communication and to go through with you these different steps and processes to become who I am today and who I will be tomorrow. And just the knowledge and the reality that all there is now, and what we do now and how we show up in the world is super important. What's behind us, like you just said earlier, when we opened the meeting, may be dead and in the past, but album 22 is still something that lives. It's still something that we can use to promote health, healing, growing as we move forward. And album 22.2 is going to be very much the same. It's not something that's going to be alive, but it's something that will promote and speak life to people.
Yes. The artists are alive, and the artists are what make album 22 what it was. Just like the artists that are part of album 22.2 are going to be who make this what it can be too. So
Yep.
When I say album 22 is, like I was saying to Jared, it's just like album 22 is of the past because it's already launched, and we need to make sure that album 22.2 is what we're focused on with the past as context. Because as a coach, that's very much part of my training and understanding, that we use the past as context for the future that we are creating in the now moment. And so when I'd said that to Jared before now, it was just more as reference to the fact that anything finished is no longer able to be changed. That's why legislation, when they change legislation, they can only make an amendment to what was. So it's just like album 22 is as it was, and now we choose to use the momentum that started there, and that's why we're using the same website. So I'm looking forward to having that page where then we'll be able to send people to be able to be part of this project. I'm grateful for the extra time that we've given ourselves. And Lisego, you're saying, unfortunately, I'm having audio issues. I was unable to hear what is being shared. Hence, if anything is currently being said that requires my response, I apologize for not being able to honor this. Thank you for letting us understand what was going on there. I did hear your keyboard typing, so I had muted you, Lisego, but I'm not sure if you want to try unmuting yourself now, we may have actually corrected the audio issues. But if you can't hear us, then obviously you won't be able to hear that explanation either, and it's all good. We can come together next time, which will be on the 22nd of December, so right before and during the holiday season. But it'll be great to come together and see where we've come. Would love to have heard from each of you ahead of time as to what value you feel like you can offer the community with your contribution. So then we can set up some workshops in the meantime, or even after the holidays. It doesn't have to be before the next meeting, but just kind of to get an idea, and then I can create the meetup group or the meetup event to be able to invite other artists to be able to be part of. And I would really like to also work on helping get some youth involved in this. I say at 44, 40 or 42, 42 into the meeting, which 42 is a number of transformation. So I feel like by giving ourselves the extra time, it also gives us an opportunity to be able to extend this opportunity to young people who maybe are just getting started onto their journey, don't identify as artists, but would benefit from being in a room like this. So we can work on that. And I just wanted to put that out there, and I did it at a timely time to say, okay, it's all in alignment. If we stay in the flow and trust our feelings, trust ourselves more than maybe what we've committed to irresponsibly. Lego, we hear you again. Can you hear us? You must not be able to.
Lovely.
We're just going to mute that out and simply say thank you to everyone for showing up today, and very much look forward to coming together again very soon. Thank you.
Yes, great seeing everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.